everybody, this is Shane Graham and welcome to Complete Beginning Series, lesson number 1. Today I'd like to talk about if you're just first approaching the drums as a complete beginner. So the first thing we're going to do is get a drum throne, right? Once we have the drum throne, we want to set it at an appropriate height. Now I recommend setting a little bit higher so that your butt is just a little bit higher than the hip, right? And once we're seated comfortably, what we want to do is just bring our arms up to our sides at a 45-degree angle like this. And then what we want to do is just put the sticks in our hands, right? So now let's talk about how we hold the sticks. The way you're going to hold a drumstick is with your index finger and your thumb on the first knuckle of your index finger, right? And I recommend holding it about 3 or 4 inches up the stick. This is called the fulcrum, right? The stick is going to pivot around the fulcrum like this. Okay? Once we have that fulcrum in place, we don't squeeze too tightly, just tight enough to where the stick doesn't slide up and down in our hand. Then what we're going to do is take the other 3 fingers and wrap it around the stick like this, down the palm of our hand, so visually the stick becomes an extension of our arm, like this. Okay? So now, what we want to get used to is just dropping the stick on the pad and having it bounce back up on its own. Now, it's just like when you bounce a ball as a kid, right? You throw the ball down and the ball bounces up on its own. We don't lift the ball up, we don't lift the stick up, okay? So that's the first stroke that we want to get used to. It's called the free stroke or the full stroke, right? So all I do is simply drop my wrist and have the stick come up on its own. Now what we want to do is minimize any arm movement. First thing we want to get used to is just using the wrist only. Okay, so I'm simply just turning and dropping my wrist, right? Raising and dropping. Just like if you're riding like a motorcycle or something, you're revving the gas. Same kind of concept, right? So just using the wrist, we just want to get used to these nice full strokes, right? Same thing with the other hand. Now, what we want to do is just get used to playing quarter notes. We hear most popular music on the radio and we tap along our foot along to it, and you know that's typically going to be the quarter note or the pulse of the song, right? So what we want to do is just get used to counting in 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you really want to feel the stick coming up on its own. You don't want to drop it and then lift, right? You want to drop it and have it bounce back up. You really want to feel the impact. That's why I recommend starting out on a practice pad, which has extra rebound rather than a regular drum, which is more dead. But there's still a certain amount of rebound, but you can really feel the rebound being accentuated on a practice pad. Okay? So, just to recap, we just want to have the stick bounce on its own. We throw it down and the stick comes back up on its own, just like this. Right? And then we want to get used to counting 4 strokes on each hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now one other thing to note is we don't want to tuck our arms all the way into the sides, and we don't want to bring our arms too far out. Like I said, when we just sit down comfortably, we bring our arms up to a 45-degree angle. We just want our arms to fall naturally where they would fall, right? And then we just drop, or raise the wrist and then drop it, right? 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Well, that concludes lesson number 1. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you back for lesson number 2 of the Complete Beginner series. Thank you. Bye.